Good evening, Facebook, and welcome to Deep Conversations and Transformations. My name is Lynette, and my intention behind these interviews is that everyone involved positively transforms. So tonight I'm interviewing Vicky Paul. Vicky is a spirit-led artist, she's a writer, she's a soul plan practitioner, and she's an energy healer. Oh, she's here, yes, hopefully this works smoothly. So I'm just going to add, I think it's going to work. I'm excited to have Vicky on. We first met, I think, around 6 years ago. Hello, you're here.
Hello.
Amazing. It worked. Technology, see,
Yes.
it's on our side tonight, Vicky.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. I put it out to the universe that it works.
Yes, use that energy wisely.
Yes, absolutely.
So I was saying, I think we must have met, 6 years ago or something?
Yeah, it was through a mutual friend, Laura Pringle,
Yeah.
and she was doing a workshop on a Sunday morning in the West End of Edinburgh, and
That's right.
I had come along, and then there you were with your brother Alistair and his now
Yeah.
wife Ilaria, and I remember thinking, when I walked into the room, I was like, oh, thank the Lord, there's some really cool spiritual people.
And that
'Cause
was at the start of my journey, actually.
Was
Real
it?
Start.
Yeah. Oh, well, look how far you've come. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. It's great when you do this all the time, that you do grow and expand. It
Yeah.
works.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I
when you put
think
the work
always,
in.
always growing and expanding.
Yes. So I just shared what you do. So I'd love
Okay.
to go on a wee journey with you. And I want to
Right.
first find out if you'll go there. You shared in your bio that in your early 30s, you had a profound experience that allowed you to realize that you, basically rediscover that you had the ability to work with energy.
Yes.
So would you like to share that experience with us?
Absolutely. Yes. I'll try
Yeah.
and keep it nice and succinct because I've got a terrible habit of rambling.
Okay, I'll try and bring you in if
In my early 30s or mid 30s, I lost my job. It was my dream job. I loved it. And it was out the blue and I took it really badly. And at the same time, I was in the middle of renovating a house with a then boyfriend. We ended up breaking up. We were stuck in the house together. I couldn't work. I tried to get a job, couldn't get a job for about a year. Spent a chunk of my savings. I was not in a great space. So ended up being pretty stressed, had anxiety, took tablets. So my health wasn't in great shakes. And I started to suffer from insomnia. And I started to drop things, or things would kind of pop out my hand. And instead of thinking that this was just because I was tired or I was run down or wasn't in a great space, it came into my head that my papa was trying to communicate with me. Now, my papa was my mum's granddad who had passed away when I was a kid. And given that I was kind of all over the place at the time, this should have been, oh my God, what's wrong with you? But it wasn't. It felt like quite a sane thing. And this went on for quite a while. And then I moved into a flat in Glasgow and my then boyfriend, now husband, moved in with me. And I started to see this kind of shadow cross the corner of we'd a kind of corner door from the lounge into the hall that was glass. And I kind of saw the shadow out the corner of my eyes. And again, it came into my head, that's Papa. So I kind of fast forward a few months and I saw an amazing energy healer, a woman called Jessica Vesterlund. And I thought, if there's anybody I can ask this question to, it'll be her. So I said to her at the end of the kind of healing session, this is going to sound a bit mad, but I think I'm seeing my papa in the house. And she said, you are. She wants to know who the man is that's moved in that plays the violin. Now, she would never have known that.
Yeah.
So I was telling my sister this story 2 or 3 days later in the lounge. And then out the corner of my right eye, my papa appeared in the lounge in the living room. And the only way I can describe it, it was like, you know, these kind of ice glass statues. It's like they make them out of ice blocks. So you can see all the details, the skin, the hair, the clothes, everything, but he was completely see-through. And he was holding out his hand to me. Now, again, I never freaked out. I never told my sister at the time. She would have gone, oh. So I then kind of thought, right, okay, there's obviously something here. So that set me on a path of exploration of what is mediumship, what is psychic abilities. And I studied down at Arthur Findlay College, which is in Stansted. It's a world-renowned college for psychic studies, and had an amazing experience there. And then I studied with a very gifted medium called June Field, who is a Scottish medium. And then I did a course with an American medium called James Van Praagh, who was amazing.
Oh, yes.
His energy is, he's so up there. And And this was around about the time just before I met you. And I remember I loved the workshops, but I remember thinking that the industry, I didn't quite resonate with it. For whatever reason, I just didn't feel that that was the right path. And then obviously met you guys and realized that there were, people that were kind of like me, that were into all this spiritual side of life.
Bit crazy.
Yes. And then I kind of channeled the idea for, I thought at the time it was a workshop, but it subsequently turned into a book. But then life got in the way. We got married. We ended up, unfortunately, having a few miscarriages, and that then took us back into quite a kind of difficult space with problems with a house, and ended up taking the surveyors to, or went in a kind of legal battle with surveyors. So again, all over the place. But then something just, a penny dropped for me about trusting and handing it over. And I just went, right, that's it. It's over to you. I can't take any more. I'm done. I'm out. That's it. And then I met this woman called Helen Jones through Facebook, who again, an amazing medium and psychic, and she offered to mentor me. And then that's when things just started to unfold. And then another amazing woman on my journey who actually took me to Soul Plan. And I'm going to give her a shout out. She's in the west coast of Scotland, Jacqueline Adams. She gave me a Soul Plan reading and I was blown away by it. And since I had that reading, things just all started to fall into place. And I thought, right, I'm studying that. That's how I'm going to channel my gifts.
Amazing.
So that's kind of where we're at.
So yeah, it resonated so deeply that you were like,
this absolutely.
So yes, the Soul Plan Practitioner, I'd never heard of this before until you sent me your bio, and then you gave me a Soul Plan reading right on Friday night, didn't you?
Yeah.
And it was very powerful, and you've sent me masses amount of notes. I'm like, wow. So tell everyone out there, like, what is a Soul Plan?
So,
what does
and
it
I've
do
written this. So I've written it down because, again, I find it quite difficult to describe. So I thought I'm going to write it down so that it's nice and short. So it's originated from an ancient Hebrew book called the Sefer Yetzirah, which translates to the Book of Creation. So it's based on the sound vibration of your name. So that as all the different letters are ascribed an energetic sound vibration, combined creates the energetic intention or pattern for this lifetime. So this was channeled alongside an ancient form of numerology by a guy called Frank Alper. And then I studied the modern version, which is an interpretation with a guy that did it called Blue Marsden. So he's updated it and made it a bit more modern, included affirmations and sort of various interpretations. So it's a system of life purpose analysis that analyzes your life in terms of your talents, your goals, your gifts, your obstacles, and ultimately your life purpose. And it reconnects you with the essence of who you are. So it brings a lot of context and understanding as to why you've had the life you've had, why perhaps you've had all these different experiences, good and bad, why you've had different people attracted to your life, and maybe again, why you keep repeating patterns. So it's based on the premise that you have a soul plan. It's kind of like your life's blueprint. And what a soul plan reading does and what a soul plan practitioner does is just reconnect you with that knowing, that plan, that essence of your life. So I will tell you everything that you already know. I'm not telling you something you don't already know. And I find people are either drawn to it because they're kind of there. They kind of think that they know what they're going to be doing, but they just maybe need a bit of validation or reassurance that they are on the path. Or the other people that tend to be drawn to it are people who've just, again, had something going on in their life and think, right, that's it. There's got to be more. My life's not satisfying me, even though I've got the house, the car, the kids, the job, etc., etc. There's got to be something more. And they're drawn to it to kind of bring them back into alignment with who they are. But once you have a reading, there's a kind of spiritual clearing and a spiritual healing that happens kind of in the background when the reading is taking place. And that helps kind of clear redundant energy so that you find that things really start to unfold for you. And a definite, I mean, I always love the universe. It loves a contrast. Less is more. So you kind of tend to do less and more things just sort of fall into your lap, really.
Amazing. Click on the like if you like the sound of that. The people that are watching. It's amazing. I love this. So, anyone that's watching out there, if they wanted a soul plan reading with you, how would they go about that?
Well, they just need to contact me either through Facebook.
Just contact you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Get in touch. and then we can have a bit of a chat. I like to not know anything about a person. I find personally that the more you know about somebody, you know, things start to come in. And you kind of start to think, do I know that, or am I intuiting that? Because the reading, there's two parts to it. The first part, you sort of tune in the same way. I always say to people, it's like a Reiki practitioner who tunes into sort of universal healing energy. I tune in the same fashion and kind of intuit what's going on in your life. The other part of the reading is the ancient numerology. So it plots a chart that is has a mixture of different energies associated with it. So when we did your chart, you had different energies at different parts in your chart, which is split into two aspects: the worldly aspect, which tends to be the kind of first 30 or 40 years of your life, and that's how we relate to the world, our surroundings, career, job, family, etc. And then the spiritual aspects, which are the more kind of out there, you know, we kind of move into the more spiritual side of things as we progress through life
and evolve.
Yes, hopefully that's the plan. Yes, it doesn't always work that way. Yeah.
So, you know, after I post this video, you can definitely share your link so that, because there's a few people commenting, so it'd be great for people to find you easily.
Yeah, absolutely. So on Facebook, I think this is done through my personal page. You can contact me through that, or through my business page, which is just Vicky J. Paul. But I'll pop everything in. And again, it doesn't matter, although I'm based in London, but these readings, it doesn't matter. You can do it face to face, or I did a reading for a lovely woman earlier on this week from Mexico, you know. Amazing. And we do it over Skype or over FaceTime, and it doesn't affect the content or the quality of the reading.
Yeah, it still is powerful. I love that about, you know, the internet. So I had a few questions coming through for you.
Yes.
And, you know, this ties in with the work that you do. It's like, what advice would you give to someone who would like to begin working with energy? Is there any advice you have?
Yes. So I saw this question, and I would ask, when you say working with energy, do you mean healing? Or do you mean, I use energy in the loose sense of the word, because sometimes I think people can feel a bit put off when you say that you relate with spirit, you know, from a mediumship point of view, but that to me is still working with energy. So we can work with our personal energies, or we can work with universal energy. So if you want to work with sort of one-to-one energy, whether that's through healing or working from a psychic capacity, so that would be maybe tarots, or you can do psychic sort of scanning of somebody's body from a medical point of view, I would suggest that you can work with friends. I think it's important to maybe find some people that are in this industry. There's lots of different groups and different circles that you can join. There's a spiritualist church, if that's the type of thing that feels right for you. So it's about practicing getting into that energy and actually starting to feel it and work on yourself. So starting to tune in to you first and foremost. You know, what do I feel? Yeah. Start asking yourself questions. So maybe have a meditation, you know, get the day out of your hair, out of your skin, and just kind of chill and relax, and then start to see what comes up and start to ask yourself questions. Another really good tip is, if you can get yourself out into nature, now whether it's a park or your back garden, you know, or out into the countryside, it doesn't matter, and find somewhere that you can sit down, and then again just kind of start to kind of calm yourself down, and then really start to imagine that your energy, your aura, your field is kind of pushing out the way. So you're expanding your energetic field out in every direction. And just visualize it. I found that visualization helped me. I'm a very visual person, given I'm an artist, and kind of push it out. And then you can start to kind of visualize your energy floating over the grass, and you start to feel the really braid of grass, and then up to the trees, and then start to use your hearing. And instead of just hearing maybe the wind, you know, start to listen a bit more intently. And that's you really expanding your senses, because any energy work uses all of your senses. And I find, particularly if I'm working in a psychic or a mediumship way, I can taste words or smell sounds. It tends to blend everything. So it's really about recognizing your senses and finding ways to expand that energy, and then working with other people. It helps to work with other people. You don't have to, but I find if you get a good group of people that are in the same kind of vibe as you, if you're quite an upbeat, fun person, try and find some other upbeat, fun people. If you're not, and you're a wee bit more introverted and a bit more calm of an energy, then go and find like-minded souls. And then you can help build each other's energy until you feel confident. And it's a lot of it is trust, because everybody can do it.
Yeah.
It's there in all of us, but it's just learning, and
Yes.
it's taking that plunge and being prepared to fail, basically.
Yeah, and I think you're right about the, you know, surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded. You know, that's Laura Pringle was our sort of hub and haven, wasn't it? We all were attracted to her, and she really, I don't know, she for me started the whole journey off and made me realize it was normal to work with energy and to look into all these things. So yeah, I think that's a great tip there. Also, there was somebody sent through a question, was kind of 3 parts, and I suppose that's covering. She says, did you practice on friends, which obviously you did? Did you ever get it wrong? And how do you build confidence?
Okay.
I think getting it wrong builds confidence.
Absolutely, yeah. So I worked with friends when I was doing the energy healing. So I trained as an energy healer, just again, in my exploration of what I'm going to be doing with all of this. And I worked with friends in that capacity. If you're working with friends more from an intuitive point of view, so if you're wanting to work from a psychic perspective, or a mediumship perspective, or communicate with, you know, I call it universal energy, you know, whatever resonates with you. I personally found that if I worked with people that I knew too much information about them, and I didn't trust what was coming through. So things would come up within me, and the best way to describe it for me is it's like a memory. I'm recalling a memory, but it's not my memory. It's obviously someone else's. But that memory, I always questioned if it was people that I knew. So if you're going to work with that, I think it's a great idea to work with strangers. But what you can do is get friends, if they're coming over to the house, get them to stick a photograph of a relative into an envelope and give you the envelope. And then you can hold the envelope and try and work out who the person is in the envelope. So you can work with them in that capacity. Did I get it wrong? All the time. However, my mentor Helen Jones would say, Vicky, you don't get it wrong. Somebody just can't take it at this point in time. So you do the math.
You know, and that's it, because I remember going for a reading and a lady saying somebody's name, saying they're trying to come through, they really want to speak to you, they've got a message for somebody. And at the time I was like, I've not got a clue who it was. And it wasn't until 2 weeks later I was like, oh shit, I do know that person, not that well, but I do know their friend.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes the message and it might be right.
And sometimes it was described to me, and this is not how I see it, but it's a good way of visualizing that if you are working in that capacity, and if you've raised your energy and the unit, you know, you've kind of connected, there's this kind of portal or door. And the thing is, there could be a whole load of spirits desperate to come in, you know, so you might be getting messages that are for other people, you know, because it's still, I mean, spirit, you know, we still retain the essence of our personality, you know, when we leave our body, you know, so there's more pushy, gobby people than there are less, you know, so the gobby ones get to the front. So it may well be that you're bringing through messages for other people. And that's when practice and how you know, word the questions in your head and how you set up that connection, you know, and that to only receive messages for the particular people that are here. But you absolutely do make mistakes. And sometimes you have people that you do readings for that don't communicate back at you, you know, and that doesn't mean to say the message is wrong or the reading's wrong. They're just personally, you know, sit quiet. And it's about not requiring constant validation and keep going. And the only way that you can do that is to keep practicing and to keep put yourself out there, you know. And I started to offer kind of mini readings on Facebook. I wasn't quite ready to start charging. So I popped on Facebook. If anybody wanted, you know, a mini reading, I was learning, you know, so you kind of put the proviso that it might not be wholly accurate. You know, if anybody's prepared to be open. And you tended to get people who are open and willing and helpful to the process. So it's just a case of chucking yourself out there and being brave.
And do you think, chucking yourself out there builds the confidence then?
Absolutely. And I think, you know, and I'm still learning this, trust is a huge part in it. And it's about trusting the information, trusting yourself. And I found, which is one of the reasons why I love Soul Plan, a lot of the kind of current, in my experience, I will say that the kind of mediumship industry has a certain structure to it. And that may well be that it has to have that. I'm not suggesting that it's wrong, but it didn't suit my personality. I'm much more of a a kind of free roll with the punches, you know, wing it, let's see what happens. So I found that actually kind of squashed my ability. Whereas the mentor that I found, you know, I went over, and the first day that I ever met her, she sat down and said, right, give me a reading. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you feel. And I was just like, oh. But it came because she recognized that I like to jump in at the deep end, you know, and I just kind of go for it. And she must have known that that's how my personality was. So it's about recognizing how you work and keeping hold of that and finding, you know, great workshops. There's lots of amazing, you know, gifted intuitives and mediums and psychics that are offering workshops all over the UK, all over the world. Go and find some and work with these people, and they will give you skills and exercises that you can take away and practice every day. I mean, simple stuff. You're in a building, there's 3 lifts. Which one's going to come first? Lift number 1. Yeah. Ah, damn, it was number 2. Never mind, next time. You know, so there's things you can do to kind of start connecting more with your intuition. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. So you talk about workshop, and if we refer back at the start of the interview, you said that you were creating a workshop and it turned into a book.
Yes.
So your book is about to be released, yeah? Tell us about the book. Soon,
so
maybe.
Yeah, soon. There's a bit of a reprisal to that. I went to go and write a few more chapters the other day, and I don't know what happened, but I've lost a chunk of the chapters. So clearly, no. I know, that must be that they were not right and something better is to come. So it's about really reconnecting with your soul and what that means. You know, I personally believe that we are, you know, the 3 parts. There's the physical body, the soul, which is the essence of who you are. It's your personality. And then there's a kind of spirit, which is how you, you know, which is the kind of translation of the soul of you. And I find that, you know, life nowadays leaves us very much in our head and in our physical body. And we don't blend often enough the soul aspect of us and the physical aspect of us. So the book is really about my journey and a bit of kind of guided intuitive wisdom about how to kind of reconnect the two so that you can live a more attuned life. Because when you live from a place of heart or soul, joy is yours to have every day. Abundance is yours to have every day. You live a compassionate life. You're compassionate to yourself. You're compassionate to other people. You have empathy. You know, you take responsibility for who you are. You respond to the ability of yourself, and therefore that filters out to everybody else. So it's about soul reconnection. And that's kind of loosely vague because I've still not finished it yet.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yes, no, that's fine. So the workshop that will accompany the book when it's out is to give you tools to help you start to reconnect with the essence of who you are, because a lot of that is wrapped up in feelings. And we're told not to have feelings. We're told not to express feelings, you know, shouting and screaming and crying, you know, we've got to kind of keep it in. And that's really energy that needs to come out. And it's not good or bad energy, you know, if it's, as long as it's not directed at somebody, you know, but if you need to release that energy, you need to get it out. But we don't live in that kind of environment, because sometimes there's so much upset and hurt and difficult energy that makes it hard for us to go there. So we just kind of squash it back down and head off in another direction, which leads to a lot of mental ill health, you know, illness and that kind of thing. So it's about helping people come back to the essence of who they are and blending all aspects of themselves.
Yeah, it reminds me of when we done women's circles, my friend Kate and I, we used to get 18 women in the circle to have a tantrum, like to go like, shouting, screaming, punching, kicking. And at one point, I remember lying on the floor and I'm like, feels like I'm in Ibrox, like, and there's a concert going on. And for some people, it was too overpowering. They just sat with their hands, but other people were really getting it out. And it just felt so beneficial, because after doing that for like a few minutes, we were like, released everything. And I always think it'd be great just to climb Arthur's seat and go mental at the top and scream out any anger, frustration, sadness, get out. And then, you know, animals do it. Elephants stamp
absolutely.
their feet.
Yeah, definitely.
Toddlers do it. They teach us.
Well, they do. And do you know, the thing is, it comes out anyway. So you either facilitate it, you know, in an environment or a space when you're ready, or you don't. You just let it happen when it happens. I ended up a couple of weeks ago, my poor friends, we were over at their house, and I don't know what happened, but it just poured out of me. I couldn't have cried anymore. I was so vulnerable. And I just lost it the whole night. And then the following day, and they were like, oh my God, I've never seen you like this. And it didn't feel rational, but there was obviously something needed to come out, and I've got a cold sore, so there's a clearing.
So bad.
Have you already?
It's so weird. I've not had one in like about 7 years.
That's bizarre. It's utterly strange. So of course I looked up metaphysical reason of cold sore. So there's obviously stuff needing to come out. So the more you work on yourself, and that is the kind of the flip of taking a more spiritual path, and maybe you'll agree or disagree, but there's no choice. You just have to follow that path, but oftentimes it's not easy. There's a lot of stuff comes up and you think, what the hell did I agree with myself that I'm doing this for? Stuff that I'm going back to the old me. But it always crops back up again, and you just have to kind of get on with it. But it's not always an easy path, but it is by far the best.
It's totally
amazing moments. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's totally worth it.
Are we selling it, do you think?
I don't know, but on every day, most days you're feeling this excitement and this aliveness. Like I've never felt so alive. Life has never been this good. So it's definitely worth the odd purging and the going dark and deep and getting rid of whatever is stored inside. Definitely.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't choose any other path.
No.
So I want to know, like, what's your most important habit that possibly you do every day that helps you to, I know you're an entrepreneur, you're an artist, you're a writer, soul plan practitioner, you're doing a lot. So what's your most important habit right now?
Honestly, I don't know that I have one. I find, sorry. I tend to just go with the flow. I try to stay in the present moment and go with the flow. Really is ultimately what I try and do. I find that if I put practices or I start to have kind of rules and things in place, it doesn't sit with me. The only thing that I do consistently every single day without fail, and that I will do probably till the day I die, is I get up and have a really good coffee and I sit and chill for half an hour. But I don't have necessarily any daily meditation practice, because I don't like that kind of structure. I kind of get up in the morning, how do I feel today, what do I feel like doing? And I'm very lucky because the work that I do, I'm not stuck to having to work at certain times. So I can work at 3 in the morning if I want to. I can take a day off. So every day's a work day, but every day's a potential holiday. So I like to leave it pretty fluid.
Amazing.
But I do eat healthily and I do drink a lot of water. I think it's important to put nourishment into your body. That said, you can probably see you can't. I thought you could have the booze cabinet in the background. But no specific habits, just allowing me to be me, staying in the present moment and trying my best to go with the flow. Yeah,
well, the drinking water and healthy eating is definitely a habit that's important. So
yes.
I think, that sounds like your
I'd love to have said a daily yoga habit followed by an hour of meditation, but unfortunately I can't. I'm a bit of a binger. I'm an all or nothing kind of gal, so I probably would do that for 3 weeks and then go, right, I've had enough of that, I want to do something different. So it works for me.
Yeah. So what are you most proud of up until this point of yourself?
Oh, do you know what? I find this a hard thing because this is going to sound bizarre, but I don't tend to feel like I feel pride at something. And probably if you'd asked me this a few years ago, I would have said, oh, I got some awards for my work, or, oh, I've done this, or I've managed to complete that. And when I got the book deal, I knew I was going to get a book deal. And I don't mean that to sound egotistical. I just knew that this was going to happen. Yeah, there was a deep knowing. It didn't happen when I expected it to happen. It took a lot longer, but I knew. So I presume I will be proud when the book is done and it's out. But the thing that makes me feel most proud, I got a message from a lovely woman, Helen, that I did a soul plan reading for, and she said, thank you so much. Your reading has helped me. I cannot believe how much it's changed my life. That makes me teary and go, oh my God, that's amazing. And when I paint, I love when clients send me photographs of a print or a painting up on the wall, and I'm like, oh my God, I did that and I painted that and they bought it and it's in their home. That makes me feel proud. That kind of connection that something of me has been of benefit to someone else. It probably makes me feel most proud. Yeah. So that's it,
incredible. Yes. And what would you like your legacy to be? Now you're already creating it, right? But what would you like it to be?
I don't know what my legacy is going to be. And I spent a long time thinking about this. But I don't know what my legacy is going to be. You could maybe say my books and my paintings will be part of it. But for me,
definitely.
I want to connect with as many people as I can and be part of their journey to help them reconnect with the essence of who they are so that they feel more in alignment with who they are, and then they can live the life that they were meant to be. So if that's a legacy, kind of loosely speaking, but I've no idea what it's going to be. So I'll find out when I depart this planet, and I'll be looking down and going, okay, so it was that, and it was that. So I suppose just to be a good soul and help people and touch as many people as I can. And I don't mean that in, touch as in touch.
No. I think that's a beautiful intention. And, it's already started. You've got the paintings that are out there. You're doing the soul plans, and you are leaving your legacy. It's just always nice to hear it.
Yes. It's a difficult one.
Intention for your life. It's a difficult one, but just, as you say, go with your heart with that one.
Yeah. It's like, write a business plan. Who are your customers? I don't know.
Anyone?
Leaving it to the lap of the gods. What will be, will be. Handing it over. It's the same with the legacy.
So it's been incredible to have you on.
Thank you.
Leave, I'd like to know, is there one book that you could recommend, or a podcast, or a movie, or a documentary?
There's been so many. I love all of Paulo Coelho's books. I've read every single one of them.
So good.
Because I struggle with factual stuff and reading through factual stuff. It's kind of boring. So if something's wrapped up in a story, I learn a lot from that. So I learned a huge amount from Paulo Coelho's books. I thought they were amazing. Podcasts, what I'm listening to, I listen to Holly Tucker, Conversations of Inspiration. She's a good podcast. She's the woman behind Not on the High Street. So this is more kind of inspirational stories of people who've done well from an entrepreneurial point of view. Anything that Oprah Winfrey does, anything that Deepak Chopra does. Another book that I love, that I refer to regularly, is Louise Hay, How to Heal Your Life.
Yeah,
love that book one for the affirmations.
And I love the bit at the back that tells you, if you're ill, you can look at it and see what it means.
That's cold sore. Speaking ill of someone. Well, do you know what? She says it's speaking ill of someone, but to be honest, I think it's speaking ill of myself. I was having a bit of a down on myself moment.
Beating myself up.
Verbally beating myself up, yes. The other book that I loved was Celestine Prophecy. That was one of the first books. That's a really, not a really old book, but Celestine Prophecy I really enjoyed. But so that's
thank you for all those shares. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Share how people can get in touch with you.
I will do.
I'm sure there'll be a few people out there curious to get a reading done. It's incredible. It tells you so much, and you get so much clarity about yourself. It was great for me to have that reading, because it was like, wow, I knew that I was on the right path, and this is just, definitely stating I am, because everything I'm doing is on my soul plan. So it was great to have that. So thank you for doing that for me.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you for inviting me on, and thank you for putting me in touch with my publisher.
I know
that was you that connected me with that. So massive gratitude.
You shared with me that you were struggling to find a publisher, and I was like, I think I have the publisher for you. And then you met Iona, my friend.
Yes, Iona Russell, yes. We just connected at this event in London. It was like, you, how are you? Chat, and then everything. So everything is connected. And her book's actually at the editors. It's out really soon. So Iona Russell, check it out.
Iona Russell,
big shout out.
And that's my friend Laura Riley is saying, I want a reading.
So, brilliant.
Laura,
Wonderful.
Touch with Vicky. Amazing. All right.
I'd love to do a reading.
Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And take care, Vicky. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Much love. Thank you so much.
Much love.
Take care. Bye-bye.